Does Rush Limbaugh finally get it? And he talks about how there's an inbred elite at Harvard, at D.C., in New York, who control the government and use it to rob the middle class and control this society, and that they are basically 21st century robber barons. All I've ever requested of people is that they defend this country. This nation is wealthy. And the greatest wealth is made out of taking control of government and using government to rob your competition. And the fact that the American people have now woken up to the point that Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh more and more are telling the truth is a very positive thing. Doesn't mean they're perfect, but I give credit when it's due. And this is very exciting. Think of how far we've come. Again, 10 years ago, you talk about the Federal Reserve being private, you get laughed at. Now it's admitted. Now over 80% of the American people in major polls want to abolish the Federal Reserve. Now they've just passed a big power grab, but that's their reaction to being exposed. They're seeking even more control. This is going to backfire on them if we get the word out. Now, in other news, the globalists are trying to collapse this country as fast as they can. They're trying to block Arizona and other states from defending the country and enforcing the law against the open borders. We've got a bunch of news on that coming up the next hour. I have been demonized in the Arizona News, the Arizona Republic, and on News 12. And they've tried to twist and deceive about what we really stand for. So we're going to be discussing that information coming up as well during the next hour. But the phones are open now on this live Sunday edition, 888-201-2244. And right now I'm going to go ahead and take a call from Sean in Arizona. Sean, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We talked before when Craig Roberts was on Washington's birthday, February 22nd. I worked for Reagan during the convention 30 years ago, and I told you some of my experience. I didn't get into all of it, but you caught on very quickly.
Well, no, I mean, that's actually been, well, that was 6 months ago or something. What you talked about, the reason I caught on quickly was actually in newspapers. I have in fact, it's in the film Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, that they told Reagan, look, you're not going to speak out against the CFR, the Trilateral Commission. You're not going to speak out against the New World Order, which he had done. That's how he got so popular. And you're going to put George Herbert Walker Bush on your ticket with the Blue Bloods running things, or you're not going to win. We're going to give it to the Democrats. But you're saying you were there.
Yes, I was there, and the main focal point, I've been in this struggle since I was 16 years old. I'm 49 years old now, and I've been informed since 1977. I'm a friend of Red Beckman and so forth. The focal key, I've been listening to you on and off. Let me say this. I've been listening to you every day that I can since January 7th, and never in your program have you tried to align yourself with white supremacists, so forth and so forth. We're upsetting the apple cart now. Red Beckman said this years ago to me, almost 30 years ago. He said, my prayer, and we're at this time period right now, and you're leading this crusade, and I pray for you every day, but you're spot dead on. He said, where the printing presses and the information from the common man, the butcher, the baker, and the candy man maker will get out there, and they'll stir the pot like nothing before. The Montanans were ahead of everybody else 30 years ago, and that's where we are now. And the key is basically, I hold some different views. The Reagan Revolution never really happened because it was subverted in Detroit, and those of us that really knew what was happening, that we knew ultimately, yes, he did some things, but ultimately he never was able to cut back government spending. He cut the rate of government spending 2 or 3 years. He never was able to balance the budget. So we, as you know, we need true independence. We need true informed people, nonpartisan people, and we need the common man, the people that our forefathers wanted to really rule the country. That's why they set up the common law.
Well, let me throw this at you. Let me throw this at you, though. I mean, is it not amazing that Limbaugh is now saying there's basically a secret ruling elite that's robbing America?
This is absolutely it's fabulous, because we're at the point where the conscience of some of these people, like Limbaugh, who've been playing along, basically he's been a mouthpiece for the Republican Party. He's been part of the left-right paradigm, but things are shaking.
Yeah, that's the big issue. He came out and said the Republican Party leadership are globalists that want to destroy America, and they're scum, and they're basically robber barons, and that they hate the middle class. I mean, he told the truth, and I've never heard him do this, and he's clearly always known this. The question is, why is he coming out? Well, A, he knows that the American people are finally awake, and he's got the backing to tell the truth. And B, he realizes this country's being completely overthrown. And if he doesn't come out and tell the truth now, we have no chance.
I was there the night that Barry Goldwater came up with at the convention. He had a nominating speech for Reagan. And now, Mr. Jones, he said this 30 years ago this month in Detroit. There's a line in that speech, if your people will find it, where Goldwater says, and I almost remember it verbatim. Now, he said this July of 1980. He said, this may be the last Republican convention, and in a couple weeks, the last Democratic convention. He said this in 1980. He said there are forces aligned against this country, and he may have named them at the time, the Trilateral Commission and whatnot. But we are 30 years down this pendulum here, and now finally people are starting to wake up. But we have to, I think the most crucial thing, and I listen to you every day, and it's like I'm fighting a severe health illness, and it's the highlight of my day, because you're putting all these things together that every day, I can't believe that I waited 33 years to hear these things on the air. It's unbelievable.
Sean, God bless you. And it's my highlight of the day is talking to people like you. But it's not just Alex Jones anymore. This information is so mainstream now that Rush Limbaugh is admitting the truth. And again, the Democrats are so panicked, they're saying we got to stage a terror attack. They are within 1 millimeter of coming right out and saying they're going to stage a terror attack. I read the quote at the start of the segment. So that shows how far we've come, but we're in great danger because the establishment is like a cornered rat. And Limbaugh went on to say it's a tiny elite subverting the will of the American people, subverting the Constitution. And again, I don't like coming on the air and praising Limbaugh and praising Beck because they've got such bad track records as kind of Judas goats that I don't trust them. But it is a major milestone. I mean, there is no media in the United States except for NFL football that has more viewers and listeners than Rush Limbaugh. I mean, he's got 22 million conservatively a week. Okay, he's got around 10 million a day. They tune in, every day is about 10 million, but off and on another 12 million or so. People always get confused. They go, well, how do you have a couple million a day, but a few other millions, that come in and listen? I mean, that's how radio works. You have regular listeners. You have those that kind of come in every once in a while. But this is very positive news is the point I'm trying to make. Very, very positive news. Craig in California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Mr. Jones, thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener and first-time caller.
Welcome.
Subscriber to your site for a long time as well. A couple of things that I wanted to point out. Well, one thing I wanted to bring up is Friday afternoon, while I wasn't at home, my phone machine recorded a telephone call. It sounded just like the national emergency broadcast. If you... Yeah,
FEMA now makes phone calls, and then by law they want all electronic communications devices, radios, cell phones, to be taken over by the feds, and they're going to give you little propaganda messages. And the state of California has announced they're going to have digital license plates on everybody's cars that flash government propaganda messages on them. So yes, this is the type of THX 1138 minority report system we're going into.
Yeah, and the message said if this had been a national emergency, you would have been instructed further, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they're gearing up for total collapse, Craig. Anything else?
Yes, one other thing. And I've been researching these things for a very long time. I've been looking into a lot of other resources other than your websites and your show. And it gets really frustrating sometimes. It seems like just everything is going their way, and no matter what we do, there's just nothing that we can do to stop it, and it's just all headed their direction, all going in their favor. But then what I came to realize recently is that in the end, it's actually, whether they realize it or not, it's all going the way that God wants it to.
Exactly. Look, you got to do the right thing, trust in God, justice be done, may the heavens fall. All that we've got to do is do the right thing and then trust in God. He'll carry it the rest of the way. But their open, brazen takeover is forcing all this out in the open. Hour 2 coming up.